The night was thick with silence, the kind of silence that presses against your ears until even the faintest sound seems louder than it should be. In a dimly lit room, a little girl no older than 7 crouched in a corner, clutching her younger brother, who could barely speak. Her tears fell on his hair as she whispered, almost choking on her sobs, "Please, don't hurt us." Her fragile voice trembled with fear, echoing like a broken prayer. Their stepmother loomed over them, her shadow stretching across the cracked wall. In her hand was the leather belt she often used to teach them lessons. Her face twisted in anger, though deep down, it wasn't truly the children she despised, it was the reminder they carried. They were the children of her husband's first wife, the woman she could never replace, the ghost that haunted her every moment in that house of wealth. "Your father may love you, but I will not," she spat bitterly, raising her hand again. The little girl, clutching her brother tighter, cried out once more, her voice breaking, "Don't hurt us." At that very moment, the heavy mahogany doors of the mansion burst open. The sound of polished shoes striking the marble floor filled the hallway, followed by a commanding voice that thundered across the house. "What is going on here?" It was their father, Richard Wallace, a man known in the business world as a ruthless millionaire, but to his children, he was their hero, their protector, their only safe place. He had been away on a sudden business trip, and his unexpected return was like a storm breaking into the suffocating air of cruelty. His eyes, sharp as steel, locked onto the scene before him, his little girl trembling, her brother sobbing, and the woman he had trusted with his family standing over them with rage in her eyes. The belt slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor, but the damage was already done. Richard's voice boomed through the hall, shaking with both fury and heartbreak. "How dare you lay a hand on my children?" From that moment, everything changed, but not without struggle. Richard thought that money, mansions, and power were enough to shield his children. He believed that providing comfort was the same as providing love. But the sight of his daughter's swollen eyes and his son's trembling hands shattered that illusion. The challenge before him was not just protecting his children from cruelty, but also unlearning the harshness of his own ways. Richard had always been too consumed by his empire, too absent, too far away. Now he realized the price his children had paid for his absence. He vowed to never let them feel unprotected again. Yet, the road ahead was not simple. The stepmother, bitter and manipulative, fought back with lies and twisted stories. She accused the children of exaggerating, of being spoiled and manipulative. For months, Richard struggled with court battles, betrayal from people he once trusted, and sleepless nights filled with his daughter's quiet sobs. There were times when he wanted to give up, but every time he looked into his daughter's eyes, he saw her silent plea, "Please don't leave us again, Daddy." The journey became one of healing. Richard slowly transformed from being a millionaire with a cold heart to a father who knew the value of presence. He started simple, sitting by their bedside until they fell asleep, cooking breakfast with clumsy hands that once only signed million-dollar contracts, and driving them to school himself. At first, the children were hesitant. They had been wounded too deeply to trust easily. His little girl, Emily, would often flinch at sudden movements, while her brother, Noah, refused to let go of her hand even for a moment. Richard's challenge was not just to provide, but to rebuild trust one moment at a time. And slowly, like the first rays of dawn after a long night, healing began. Emily smiled again. Noah laughed again. The house that once echoed with fear now filled with warmth and love. But Richard knew this was not just their story, it was a story that reflected a greater truth. Money could buy walls of glass and marble, but it could never replace love, protection, and kindness. The scars of neglect and cruelty can only heal with patience, compassion, and presence. One evening, as the family sat on the balcony watching the sunset, Emily turned to her father and whispered, "Daddy, I don't cry at night anymore. Because now I know you'll always be here." Richard held her close, his eyes moist with tears he never showed in boardrooms. That moment, he realized, was worth more than every fortune he had ever made. Final message for the viewers. Dear friends, this story reminds us of one simple truth: children don't need riches, they don't need grand mansions, they need love, protection, and the assurance that they are never alone. Too often we underestimate the power of presence, of kindness, of standing up when someone cries, "Don't hurt us." So, if this story touched your heart, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed kindness change someone's life? Or have you ever been the one to protect someone in need? I would love to hear your stories. And if you believe in spreading love, compassion, and hope, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Be kind always. Together, let's build a community where kindness is stronger than cruelty, where love speaks louder than wealth, and where no child ever has to beg. Don't hurt us.